Kiri from Kiri Made, and I'm doing a series of videos to introduce non-weavers to weaving. The very first thing I wanted to talk about was the difference between woven and knitted fabric, because I think most people are not familiar with it. So, knitted fabric is created from one continuous piece of yarn. So this is a piece of a hand-knitted sweater, and because it's made by forming loops, if you pull on one thread, you can unravel the entire thing. And a t-shirt is made the exact same way, but it's just made in much finer yarn by a machine. But structurally, it's the exact same kind of cloth. On the other hand, woven fabric is made by taking a warp and using a loom to hold it under tension, and then you interlace the weft across the warp in order to make the woven cloth. Now, both types of cloth are very, very useful. And a common example of woven cloth would be the blue jeans that I'm wearing. So we use both of these types of fabric in different ways. So for instance, some of the advantages of knitting are that the structure of knitting provides stretch. And because of that, that makes it very easy to make garments that don't require any sort of closures. So like for instance with a t-shirt, you can just pop it on over your head. You don't need a zipper or buttons or anything. And because of that stretch, you also have to do less fitting because it can kind of stretch to accommodate the body. This also makes knitted garments often easier and cheaper to manufacture than woven garments. On the other hand, you probably wouldn't want jeans made out of a knitted fabric because some of the disadvantages of knits are that, particularly if they are made in natural plant fibers, over time they tend to stretch out and not hold their shape as well, and they're not as inherently sturdy as a woven fabric. Woven fabrics do a better job of holding their structure over time. The other thing they do very well is that they are easier to sew into detailed shapes. So for instance, the collar of a shirt or the cuffs of a button-up shirt would be very hard to sew out of woven fabric. Now, just because a woven fabric or a fabric is woven doesn't mean that they're all exactly the same. So for instance, this is a heavy twill fabric, which you can see, kind of stands out stiff. This would be the type of fabric that you would make a pair of pants out of. On the other hand, this is silk sarmoose, which is also a woven fabric, but you can see that it's extremely drapey and just has a totally different look and feel than the heavy twill. Obviously, you wouldn't want to make a pair of pants out of this, but it would make a beautiful top or dress. So those are just a few of examples of different types of woven fabric as compared to the knitted fabric that I talked about earlier.